Hey, everybody. Welcome again to Running Strong Mind Body Connection podcast. I'm your host, Karen Bonnett-Natraj, and I am my fourth interview at Potapalooza. This is an amazing event. And so we will definitely share this next year. You guys can all come and join onto this podcast, Potapalooza with Kimberly Crow. And my guest today is Tricia. And so excited to meet Tricia. She is the creator of Total Emotion Performance. Got that? A no fluff approach to mastering your emotional world without bypassing burnout or, BS. She helps high performers stop coping and start owning their lives with raw, practical tools that work in chaos. If you're done performing peace and ready to live it, Trisha's the voice your audience didn't know they needed. So today, let's welcome Trisha into the Running Strong Mind Body Connection podcast. Super great to meet you. And let's go for a run.
I have to say, look, I'm, and things, just in case we don't get to it today, right? Like, I am super passionate about the body mind connection, which people, right? And psychonutrition is something that I'm really passionate about, and just really learning how to hear what your body's saying. But, most of you right now, you're listening while you're juggling work, your parenting, your side hustle, your health routine, and your emotional overload, right? So I want to just kind of open up today and start by making sure you hear me say this loud and clear. You're not a project that needs to be fixed.
Right.
Right? Now, you're probably, even if you don't know it yet, real tired of pretending that you're okay when you're not. Because we've all been sold the same lie that if you just try harder, if you optimize your calendar, if you eat cleaner, if you think just think more positively, right, you'll just magically stop feeling overwhelmed. And it's just really not true, right? Because burnout isn't about being overworked or having, I don't know, that socked in full calendar, right? It's truly about emotional avoidance. And for most of us high achievers, control has become our coping strategy. And it's also become a pretty significant addiction for so many.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. You touch on it, we're kind of on the same line. I'm going to say that because I'm a mental fitness coach.
Yep.
And we step into that thought process. And so my belief is our thoughts create those emotions. And sometimes we're not even aware of that thought. That
Mhm.
thought of what would that thought be when we're in burnout? The burnout is the emotional the emotional landscape that we're in. But it comes from that thought of I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, or whatever. Even as a hyperachiever, because you're constantly striving to make that next goal, that next level of performance or whatever, and there's no happiness there
No.
because you're not paying attention. Actually, you're not paying attention what your thoughts are, but then that impacts your emotions.
Well, and I love what you're saying here because, I think so many of us just think like, oh, I need healing. And we just don't, right? Like we don't need healing, right? Like think back to it, right? You're not a project that needs to be fixed. What we need to find, to create, to cultivate, to nurture, to condition is emotional agility,
Hmm.
right? That having the ability to stay with that discomfort long enough to understand what it's really telling us. So I call it sitting in and moving through the uncomfortable. It's like doing a marathon and you hit that wall around, what is that, 8 mile, 18, something
18
like that.
miles is what they
Yeah.
call that
I remember,
wall.
right? Like I remember it when I did the oh, now I'm drawing a blank, but anyway, team and training
Oh, yeah.
race for leukemia. My daughter and I did it. She did it after her bone marrow transplant. So, but there definitely was a wall there. But so we need to learn how to sit in and move through that, but also learn how to hear and understand what our body is telling us,
Right.
right? And what most of us refer to as, and you guys will pick up on the fact that I don't like these standardized mainstream fluffy versions of what we've chosen to call things, but that self-care, right? Self-care is just micromanaging our outsides because we're too scared to sit with what's happening on the inside.
That's a true statement. I've come across so many people that's like, no, I don't, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But what really sits on the inside is your body's telling you, no, you're not fine, and pay attention to me.
And here's that you just used one of my favorite words to use as an example because I love vocabulary. And if you look at the definition of fine, right? Like fine is the most ambiguous answer you could give,
Exactly.
right? Like it's the bleached blonde hair is super fine and breakable, or the gemstone that is just solid, right? Like I'm solid, I'm dependable, I'm reliable. And so it's just and it's just crazy. But the outsourcing, right? Like you're referring to here, that locus of control. We rely on things outside of us to bring us peace, to bring us joy, comfort, relief, our value, our validity, our worthiness. We're seeking it outside of us,
Right.
giving an emotional purpose to the bottle of wine, the bucket of Ben and Jerry's, and the Amazon shopping cart. And
Right.
none of those things can fix an emotional need, but we give it
Exactly.
an emotional purpose. Calm me down, make me more happy, make me more confident, soothe my pain,
Right.
make me visually look like I'm enough, whatever it is, right?
Right.
And the thumbs up and the likes and the seeking to go viral status and all of those things. And we have to let that go. Got
Yeah.
to get into our internal locus of control.
Yes.
It was what we were always intended to do as a child, right? Like we were born in that external locus position. We have to cry to get somebody to feed us, yada, yada. But then somewhere along the line, we learned to sit ourselves up, pull ourselves up on the couch. We learned to use the toilet and tie our shoe
And ride a
and
bike.
ride a bike. And then somebody along the line tells us that what we put on our body, it doesn't match, right? That doesn't match. Your hair is ugly. Or they tell us, whatever, something else. No, I heard a lot. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
Exactly.
And and
Exactly.
and then we all of a sudden now are no longer growing in the direction of who we want in our own autonomy to, we're no longer experiencing living the way we desire. We're now trying to fit in, to be less seen, to not bring notice to ourselves, to compare, to measure up, to be just like everybody else. It's terrible, terrible.
It is terrible. And I hope people are hearing that because that's really what happens. And so the mirror of what we do is that when we hear those things as a child, be quiet, don't ask those questions, don't speak up. We become a very quiet person in life. Or, your grade wasn't an A plus. Your grade, you're getting down to the A minus. And so, can you work harder? You're not working hard enough. And so, we get those messages in our subconscious. And those are where, in my world, with the mental fitness, is where the saboteurs show up and then we act it out in life. Um, you brought in a really great analogy of how much we want to fit in the world and how much that world impacts our thoughts of who we think we want to be, when really who you truly are is sitting right inside of you, waiting to be remembered.
Yeah.
And one thing that a lot of what you and I do is along the same line. But one thing that I know I've done with my clients, and I know this will resonate with you, is that people don't know what an emotion is.
No.
So they do not know the language of emotion, and all you know is, okay, there's love, and there's fear, and there's, overwhelm, burnout, blah, blah, blah. But it's deeper than that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's really where you bring your clients, is that you bring them deeper to really understanding what that emotion is and where did that come from? And how can we shift that into the energy. And for even for love, there's joy and happiness and fun and blah, blah, blah. But it's not putting on the facade of what the society out there says you should be.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said that, and there's nothing really to change or correct about that. I do have a framework that I teach my clients. I have several core daily practices that we utilize while we're going through the foundational work of in their journey and their process. But one of them, which is just highly effective, is what I refer to as the core non-physical feeling check-in. Because what we don't do is we're like, okay, I can identify my feeling. Sometimes, not always, but usually people will stop at working on, I gotta learn how to identify my feeling. And that's just step one. It's just the surface, right? So it sounds like this. And again, it's the core non-physical feeling check-in. And I do it before I go in the grocery store. I do it in between every client session. I do it before I go into a teaching space where, I'm leading other clinicians, whatever it is, right? And it sounds like this. Right here, right now, in this moment, I feel, right? Whether it's irritated, agitated, annoyed, frustrated, bothered, intrigued, excited, elated, whatever it is, right? Like right here, right now, in this moment, I feel. Now, the next step is imperative. You have to ask yourself, what's driving this feeling in this moment or in this time and space? And so now you go, okay. Then the next step, once you've got that figured out, is how much of this is for or about me, and how much of it is for or about something or someone outside of me. Now we can get distance from that external locus of control and move to focusing on what the internal is. So it's like, okay, I'm going to move into my internal locus of control and I'm going to work on the parts that are for or about me. And then it's, what do I need to do in this time and space going forward to either, if it's something really great, how can I capitalize on this? How can I create momentum from this time and space? Or if it's something hurtful, painful, uncomfortable, what do I need to do to sit in and move through it? What do I need to shift? What do I need to do going forward to improve this going forward? So when you can do that system, now you're talking. Now you're really getting to know yourself. Now you're getting true, full, complete definitions, right? Of what's going on and happening for you. And it gives you that opportunity to be an observer in the stance of a learner.
Sure.
Versus the stance of a judger, which is what we do. I should,
Right.
I oughta, I always, right? Those heavy weighted
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same thing. And I would, and this is probably very clear, is it's the awareness,
Mm-hmm.
being really, really aware. And your questions were awesome on the fact, one, I got to be aware of what am I feeling? And two, be aware of, so where did that feeling come from? What is that thought that created that feeling? Because there's a thought there. And how we have over 90,000 thoughts we think a day. We aren't even aware of 1% of that.
No.
I
No.
mean, just it's mind blowing. So take the time in 1 minute, pay attention. What thought am I thinking in my head? And is it serving me? Is this where I want to be? And we a lot of times with people I see is that they allow the outside world to make them happy, right? And actually, this was with my sister. And she's like, I'm this or this or that. I said, we have the opportunity to choose. At
Everything's a choice.
every single moment, you have the opportunity to choose. And what you choose is that thought. And if that thought is, life sucks, there you have it.
And the more you say it, the more it will be.
Exactly.
Like
Because
my
that
life is
thought
not
is going
a,
to create that reality for you.
yeah.
Life is abundant. And so then too, with both of those, it brings in the emotion in the body. It's what are you feeling in your body when you have that particular thought? And the emotion can be apathy. It could be a victim. It can be, or it could be abundance and joy and belief and, on and on and on. And so
Yeah.
it's hence the mind-body connection, running strong, is that mind-body connection, is that mind
Yeah.
body and spirit. I know for myself is there's this is going a little bit out there, but I have always in my life been impacted by the full moon. Now, I don't
Me
study astrology. I don't, but I just have that knowing. And I know in the summertime, in the June, my energy is like way out there. I have a lot of energy. But sometimes in the full moon throughout the year, depending on the moon, there's something that needs to be released in my body, and it creates this energy in my body. And
too.
having that energy in the body and being aware of that, it's just like, what is the universe telling me here? What do I need to learn? And it's always the opportunity. Every single day, you have the opportunity to learn about you. And you
Yep.
brought this up at the very beginning, and I might rephrase this, is that we're not broken. We are not broken. We are perfect
Yep.
and don't need to be fixed. We just need
We
to
get
show
to
up.
choose to change, shift, and morph. And for anybody that knows anything about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like up there at the top is self-actualization. And it's something that I believe and I've witnessed for years, well over a decade now, that it's not something that is an absolute. Like we continue, if we choose, we continue to self-actualize and
Yes,
self-actualize and self-actualize and self-actualize, and it's a choice to stop growing, to stop learning, to stop expanding our consciousness, to stop whatever it is,
right.
loving our neighbor, whatever, right? Like the the majority of the general population operates in the stance of a judger. And what I mean by that is we have all of these, without getting into any of today's world type stuff, right? I'm not, because I absolutely refuse. But if we think about driving our cars, most of us are, we got our driver's license, we're out there, we get in our car, we drive, and somebody, turns left in front of you. And all of a sudden you're like playing on your horn, flipping a bird, getting all pissy, whatever it is. And you don't ever stop to think to yourself, I've done that before, right? Like I've made that mistake before. Like I've accidentally, or I didn't see, or, whatever. So I'm going to give that person grace. We go immediately into judgment. You're
Right.
done. You're da da da, whatever, right? And so we automatically go there instead of going, no worries, man. Cool beans, right? Like at least one of us, right? Like noticed, cool, we didn't get in an accident. You're good. Wave your hand. And because I think to myself, like, I've done that. I've made that mistake before. And I was embarrassed and, was like, and then it was hurt when the person didn't understand. The thing is we don't know what's going on for other people in their lives. And that's an external, it's none of our business. So if somebody's tailgating you and they're in a hurry, just scooch over to the other lane and let them go by and send them a blessing, because you don't know. Their kid maybe got hit by a train and they're in a hurry to get to the hospital. You don't know. Sure, they could have stayed up late at night, self-soothing with, a bunch of cocktails, and they were hungover and they got up late and they're trying to get there. And sure, that could be their story. And I'm sorry if it is. And if it was you, give me a call. Like, we'll work on your relationship with alcohol. But I am a master addiction specialist, so I just always throw that in there. But so you don't know, and the spectrum is
Yes,
huge, and
yes.
it's just a blip. It's a blip of a moment, and you choose to get irritated, agitated, annoyed, frustrated, bothered, and now when you get to work, you're talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe this guy on the freeway, blah blah blah. And then and then it just infects your whole day. And then you get home at night, you're still telling the story to your spouse. It's like, wow, that was just like this blip. Let it go. It was an external thing, external, and you just gave it all your power instead of keeping that inside and giving some grace, getting in the stance of a learner, even though you don't have time. It's not like you're going to pull up next to them and go, I'm sorry, could you explain to me what's going on in your life? I wanted to check to see if you're okay. Just give them grace
Yeah.
as if, act as if
Yeah.
you have compassion for your your quote unquote neighbor on the road,
Right.
right? And so we choose, and you said that, right? Like we get to choose.
We
Everything is a
choose.
choice.
Yep.
Absolutely everything is a choice. What I say here in the moment is a choice, even though it's not scripted, it's a choice. And my life motto is this, right? Like this is my life too. It gets to look, feel, be however I want it to.
Yep.
I get to choose.
Yep.
Now, with that motto, if I want to give that to myself, it also means I have to give it to you and every other person on this planet, meaning that's your life. You get to choose how your life looks and feels for
Right.
you, right? It's your choice. Yay for you if you're doing it.
Yeah. This is good, great. You brought up a lot of thoughts for me because there was a story that I heard of a gentleman with his two young kids on the airplane, and they were acting out, and people were annoyed, and people were like, and judgment is something we do every single day. Pay attention to that, and that's what you learn in my boot camp, and how that impacts you. But somebody came up to him and was like, "Can't you control your kids?" And he said, their mother just died
Yeah.
and we're going to her funeral. And doesn't it just take your heart and blow?
Right
So
there.
it's the
You
fact
never
that
know.
too, everybody's not out against you. Ask yourself what's going on in your world that need, you feel you need, or you choose to react and be rageful. So in your story, every single moment, you're not in the present moment because you're still talking about something that happened in the past and it's over with. And so be in the present moment of like, okay, I chose to react. It's like bad on me because you're carrying that energy. You can blame that person as much as you want, but really you're carrying that energy. You're carrying that emotion, you're carrying that energy, you're carrying that frequency. And so we don't
Absolutely.
have to I was in a pretty stupid accident. Somebody did something stupid and really ruined my car. And after that, did a Facebook post, but I sent the gentleman energy on love and responsibility. You know, it doesn't, I don't have to be mad at him the rest of my life. It put me in a huge inconvenience. It's all fixed, it all works out. Everything happens for a reason, but be in the energy of just sending that love to that person who pulled in front of you and the gift that you happen to be that person that didn't hit him or make him get into an accident where he could have killed somebody. But
Yeah.
it's a gift.
Gotta be
Every moment is
thankful
a gift and
for
opportunity to show up in the essence of who we are.
absolutely.
So, Tricia,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for being on my podcast. This has been fun. We could go on. I think we could go on forever, but thank you
No.
so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.